and peace and harmony. I think we're being set up for something very serious and very big by some very powerful secret societies that very well could have extraterrestrial or otherworld intelligence guiding it. I am very fearful for the world we live in because we bought it hook, line, and sinker, and all over the world we have accepted the authority as truth rather than truth as the authority. It is going to require intellect, knowledge, study, and making a stand for the first time not to accept the things which your government gives you, which your religions give you, and which the authorities give you. Because as far as I'm concerned, I have a very big problem with anyone called an authority, because they're always...
Truth Seekers! It is Friday, and I want to welcome you here to Roderick Martin, Truth versus Authority. And today we got a great show. We're going to be talking about the hidden things that these Illuminatis, well, let's back up for a minute. We're going to go into a little bit about the 13 bloodlines of the Illuminatis and their esoteric as exoteric agendas that they have that's in our everyday life. And the plan is not just working, it is happening every single day. So if you're a person that, yeah, maybe you know about the Illuminati, and as far as that you know is this, then we're going to take you a little deeper today, because it is a little deeper. It's in everyday lives, from businesses all the way to media to the food we consume. The plan is huge. Now, when you think about the Illuminati, we are talking about secret societies. And most people would think, oh, these are just people walking around in robes or everything else. But it's deeper than that. It goes all the way back to 1800s, 1700s, the beginning. It can go all the way back to Egypt and all the way back to South Africa, all these places, China to be exact. And you know what? It goes back to aliens too. So we're going to talk about this over time, but tonight we're going to cover a lot of stuff. So I hope you're ready and pretty much to go into some great information. First of all, you could have been any other place tonight, but you chose to be right here and right now. With that being said, I'm going to serve you. But before I do that, I want to bid you good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, and wherever you may be in the 24 time zones that this show is going on. I'm located in the Jumbo State. This is where those UFOs come out to play. It's a Texas thing. So I'm excited, got plenty of energy, and we're going to go into some stuff. So get your notepad out if you want to, but it's not class or anything. You just may take some notes. But I'm going to share with you a few things that we're going to be doing. And I'm really excited. Okay, so let's get ready to get into this conversation, because it is Friday. Not Freaky Friday, but we're going to have some pretty soon, but it's going to be in another place. And so we will be doing that. And so I'm just excited about that as well. All right. So hopefully each and every one of you, again, had a great week, but then we're going to take you into the weekend with a lot of information and things for you to look forward to, things to keep your eyes open. As I always tell you, your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. We're going to open your mind today, and we're going to, again, talk about a few things when it comes down to the Illuminati. A lot of stuff that we're going to reference tonight will be part of a new book that I got, and I have a story about that I'll share with you in a little bit. But yes, the Bloodlines of the Illuminati. Oh my God, this is a masterpiece. It's by Fritz Springmeier, and we'll talk a little bit about some of his stuff today. But don't worry, this book is pretty expensive. You can find it $1,000. You can find it $900. $100 on eBay, but they have broken down another version of that you can get on Amazon as well. But anyway, first of all, let me make a couple of quick announcements for us to continue here on. Of course, this show is brought to you by the First Mouth Club. They're one of our sponsors as well, and we have an affiliate link in that website. It's nanosilverhealth.com. You've probably seen them at the Forbidden Knowledge Conscious Award. Go get your Nano Silver toothpaste, your hydrogen water bottle, all of these things, because and silver mouthwash, all of this stuff you can find on the website. It's nanosilverhealth.com. You'll see Truth versus Authority to the left there. Another announcement is make sure all of you right now, set your notifications for your YouTube so that you know when we're going live and everything else, because here is the new schedule and it's going to be live. So I want you to take a look at the new schedule and what we're going to be doing and everything else. And then I'll give a shout out to some of you all in here pretty much for there. But real quickly, our new schedule is right here. We're going to be live 5 days a week. Okay. So let me give you the schedule so you can set those notifications. Monday, of course, here at 8 p.m. Central. We're going to be here on this particular YouTube channel. We'll go to Forbidden Knowledge. I've been uploading videos there, but as of next week, we're going to be live there as a continuation of whatever we're talking about on Monday. We'll come back here on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central. Now, Thursday is a little special. When we start talking about all the stuff we're going to go into, as I promised, we're going to have our uncensored area for some of these guests, some of the conversations that we can't see. Those going to be 8 p.m. every Thursday from now on in our all access pass, the secret part, I call it, the uncensored. So make sure that if you do want to attend that and you do want to get some uncensored information and questions and answers, then we'll be back here as we are on Friday. So this is our live schedule. Like I said, in Forbidden Knowledge, sometime I would upload the old podcast from here the day before, but now as of Monday, we're going to be live there too. So join us each and one of those. Here, once again, this is the goal. I want to get to 25,000 subscribers. So if you guys can help me do that, spread the word, share the channel, it will be legendary. We're a few thousand away, but this is one of my first or second milestones, and hopefully you all can help me get there. All right, so real quickly, give a shout out to a lot of you. Judith is in the house today, and pretty much she said, wait, Freaky Friday. Yes, Freaky Fridays will be on Patreon as well. So it may be like an extension of this. We won't do it this Friday, but next Friday we'll still have our Friday show. And then if we just want to go Freaky Friday, that'll be a continuation, and we'll go into the members area for that, because man, y'all know how we get on Freaky Fridays, right? But anyway, just for those of you who support everything in it. Anyway, Jarrell, you were here. Judith is here with us. Dinah, of course, is our godmother of the channel. We got Clark in the house. Who else? Diane, Uncle Elon. I'm just going up a little bit. Shadows, Collab, Mumblebees is in the house as well. And of course, our moderators, Maya and Charles is in there as well. Body Electric Supplement. I'm just scrolling up a little bit. Melanated Brown. If I miss you, and Carissa, hello as well. If I miss you, charge it to the mind and not the heart. So let's get down into this conversation, because I'm freaking excited. I got plenty of energy. I've been walking. I'm taking my stuff, my vegetables, and just the mind and my affirmation. And one of my affirmations was to become a destination for you to learn some stuff about this Illuminati. And I got a lot of stuff here. But anyway, we're going to talk about some stuff a little bit out of this book. And man, when I tell you, it is a plethora of stuff. However, I need some help from some of you to help research, because I got a plan. My plan is we're going to continue the track down some of these bloodlines into current day, you know, and for example, like Anderson Cooper, when I was doing a lot of study, I think he's connected to the Astor family, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And it just makes sense, because we're going to talk about tonight, the Illuminati's into media and all of this. Well, anyway, I want to get some researchers so we can all get one of these. So, but don't worry, don't go worry about spending that $100 that I got. Or I will talk about this in a little bit, because for all of you who has the All Access Pass, I put the PDF version in there about 30 minutes ago. So, and if you want to help me be a researcher and we can track down, just get that. We'll go over it together, and we'll put some, you know, we're already chatting in there. So let's chat. But anyway, the copy of that. So don't go looking for the $100 and $75 and all that on eBay. All of you who got the Access Pass, the PDF is up. But I've always dreamt of having this physical copy. So I got this. So just go in there, download. There's a link, or you can just push it and read or whatever, but it's a big file. So let's get into this. When you think about the 13 families, there's 13 families that we will say is the original Illuminati bloodline. Okay. Anderson Cooper is a Vanderbilt. Yeah, but those bloodlines go all the way back to as well. And even like some of these presidents are connected to this thing as well. And it is just crazy when it comes down to what is happening out there. And like I said, we'll talk about it. We'll go into the Bush family tonight and how a lot of these presidents are related, even Barack Obama. All right, and we'll talk about some of this pyramid structure and a few other things. And so I just want to kind of hip you to that we're going to go with that. All right, so yeah, and even though, again, I know y'all talking about Anderson being ripe to Vanderbilt, but there's some connection through marriage to them being connected to the Astors. Okay, go back and follow the bloodlines. Let's do this, y'all. You know, we talking generations and generations and generations and generations and generations. And no, I'm not glitching. Generations and generations. yeah, and they're all related to Trump. So let's start with the 13 families. Now, the reason we want to start there, because once we start going deeper, and like I said, this channel will be the destination for the reptilian agenda, the Illuminati, monarch, mind control programming stuff, and as well as symbolism. And me as also being the symbolizer, which is a foul trademark there. I'm going to start with the first family, which is the Astor Bloodline. And we're just going to go over a couple of them. But what I am going to do into the show is give you a lot of connections in real life of the esoteric the plan that they have. So I'm going to give you that so you'll know what they're doing in plain sight. And then we'll go with the esoteric of what you don't know, and possibly you may, but the other plan. So there is two halves to this thing. It's like anything. It's a yin and yang, a positive. But anyway, today I'm also sporting, and we still need to give a name for our owl here, which is Noctis Boretus. Well, okay. Y'all know y'all going to be saying, but anyway, Noctura. This is meaning y'all go look it up. Y'all look it up. Just look up the words and whatever. But anyway, the shirts and stuff and the hats are now up on the website, and they're available at truthversusauthority.store. The Astors was one of the wealthiest family in America during the 1900s and early 20th centuries. They made their fortune through real estate and the fur trade and finance. The family has ties to secret societies like the Freemasons, and alleged helped shape the U.S. economy and our policies. Some researchers believe that they were key players in setting up the Federal Reserve, which controls our money. One of the things is pretty cool is that, nocturnal is night, but this is a different word. Okay, this is the Isle of. No, I'm not going to tell y'all what it means. I'm not going to tell y'all what it means. But what I will do is switch hats on you. Hang on a second. There we go. I'm going to switch hats there for a minute. I got a few of them. I'll switch them out tonight as we go. Anyway, so we got to give him a name. Remember, we're going to name this owl. There was a couple of great names that y'all said was pretty cool. So when you think about the Federal Reserve, the Federal Reserve, and most people don't know, and some should know, that is a privately held company. It's a privately held company, okay? And one of the things that you want to think about is how in the heck is the Federal Reserve Bank could be privately held? Well, a lot of these families are tied to it, because once you go back, and we're not going to go deeply into this, that when America was set up, these families lent the government, which wasn't as big as it is now, money, because they was running out of money, and we needed to keep this country or this corporation alive, and so therefore they lent them money. And then the other part was, well, how do we get our money back? And they said, okay, we're going to form the Federal Reserve for the money, and then we're going to form a privately held company called the IRS, which is privately held. They're stockholders. Yeah. I wish me and you can buy stock in the IRS. Who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't want stock in the Federal Reserve, right? Of all these companies. But if you go back to the history of the Federal Reserve, it goes all the way back to the Pirates of the Caribbean. That's why they are over there in Puerto Rico, if I'm not mistaken. And they used to have the flag of the pirates. So the pirates migrated into business. They said, we're going to go legit. I don't call it legitimacy for them, right? It's like the Corleone family, right? But they then formed the Federal Reserve. So we're talking about the Pirates of the Caribbean. So that'll be a whole nother show for us. So to give you the history, this 13 families did that. Then they say, okay, the American people is going to be the property of this corporation, which is the corporation of the United States. It's a corporation. That's why we have a president and vice president. All corporations are set up the same way. And of course, we'll get into birth certificates and the real thing about birth certificates and some of our parents stamping our feet and giving up our rights. And oh my God, that is just another conversation. But and I don't know, I'm sorry I took that detour. But when you think about the Astors, like I said, being one of those rich families, we've got to get into that information as well. But they're one of the wealthiest family. The next one is the Bundy Bloodline. Now, these are the political manipulators of it. Now, the Astors, what we consider as a hidden controllers. Now, the Bundy family has long lived the history and environment of U.S. politics, intelligence agencies. Several members have worked with high-ranking government positions, influencing policy, decision behind the scenes. William P. Bundy and McGeorge Bundy were key figures in shaping our foreign policies, the Cold War, and some of the researchers claim that the Bundys played a role in global agendas and the CIA covert operation. And once again, there's a lot of detail in here about this. This is in here. And like I said, I'll tell y'all a story that you won't believe in a little while. But so I got this today, and I'm so proud of it. And like I said, you can find them on eBay. You can find them on Amazon, $1,300, but they're probably about $100. But anyway, all of you, like I said, that have access to the membership, I just put the PDF version in there. So you're going to help me with the research, okay? Because what we're going to do, and we need to find a website or software that we can create our own genealogy, not the one that you go send in for the blood or whatever that name. We're talking just one. We can fill in the blanks and it'll keep up, because I think it's important, because this book stops some years back, but I think it will be a game changer for us to follow that lineage. Now, we'll do that within our private areas, because some of these people may not want their names out there, but we'll talk about it behind the scenes. But we could figure it out today, who is right there, because they have changed their names and stuff now on purpose. They are now hiding in plain sight because this lineage is out there, and it goes back to Dracula. It goes all the way back, so we can go in there. But anyway, that is something that I think that we could do. Another one is the Collins Bloodline. Now, this is part of the occult elite. Now, I would probably say if I was part of them and was back there back in the 1700s, and I came over here and helped start America, I probably don't blame them for, forming a corporation to get their money back then and now ruling today. And I'm not saying I agree with that, but I'm just saying, wouldn't that be the best investment of the world? Saying, hey, we're going to start a country. They didn't say we're going to start a Burger King or something. We're going to, not a franchise. We're going to start a country. And the people are going to be the slaves to the system, and you get to get them to buy things, work, pay taxes, all of this stuff back to you just to live here. Who sat around and thought about that one? We can think about, we got a cool shirt, Roderick, but we talking about, I'm going to start a country, and we're going to tax the people, and they're going to pay it, and they're going to walk around free. So they think. All right. Well, anyway, and they're going to freely pay. And if they don't pay me to stay here for this thing I provided, I can take everything they got with my other company, Internal Revenue Service. This is crazy. It's crazy. It is crazy. All right. So the Collins family, which is the occult elite, this family is believed to be deeply involved in black magic, occult practices, and some researchers claim that they are one of the most secretive, powerful Illuminati bloodlines rarely mentioned in mainstream history. And allegedly, we're going to use that word, they control satanic rituals with the elite circles and maintain a strong ties to European aristocracy or whatever, if I pronounce the word. Anyway, if I do mispronounce the word, y'all know there's a virtual grammar box over here to the right. You can go in there and make sure your mind, that mind is so capable of ideas and creativities. When you hear me mispronounce that word, it comes into your brain, but it sounds proper to you. And then if you see some misspelled word, use the spelling box, unlimited letters, and do that. And then if you still want to hate on me after that, you're a hater. Okay. All right. So I know we're having fun. And they're also, again, they have ties to the European and influence may extend to secret societies such as the Ordo Templi Orientis, or the OTO, in Freemasonry. Now, what I started learning was that we don't sit here how to really think about that the Freemasons is a secret society, because it's not. It's like an open thing. But a lot of the teachings of the Freemason is used in a lot of the occult situations. Now, remember, the word occult means secret. It's not a negative sense. I will now, much studying I'm doing, will be considered an occultist at some day because of the in-depth studies of these things. And so you too, as you're listening and listening to stuff. So it's not a negative thing. It's just hidden. That's all that it means from there. All right. So we have the DuPont family, which first thing when I ever heard their family, I'm thinking about, I don't know, was it paint or something when I was growing up or something, but anyway, these people are chemical and industry control. Now, pay attention to where I'm setting up right now. I just talked about hidden controllers, political manipulators, the occult elite. Now we're talking about chemical and industrial control. The DuPont family built their fortune in chemical industry, founding the DuPont Corporation, one of the most powerful industry companies in history. They were instrumental in developing gunpowder. Whew. So gunpowder. So think about it. And we can take this all the way back to the reptilian elites. We can go back there. Let me switch hats real quick. I just want to show them off. And the only way I'm going to do that is by switching I only have 4 anyway that I brought out for y'all. So let me switch. There we go. Anyway, our swag is in the store, and it's up for you all to go and support and get your truth swag. So when you start thinking about gunpowder, and then we talk about the reptilian agenda, we talk about how negative energy and all of this stuff is like what the loosh is, what the reptilians like to feed off of. So when you think about that, and now you have wars, and you're the one who invented freaking gunpowder. And then you say, I need somebody to use this though. Okay, I used it to blow a hole to get a chicken or something. Or maybe it was a rabbit running down the street and he went down in a hole, and I need to get that rabbit out of there and have him already cooked, ready to eat. So I'm going to put something in there and explode and bring him up. And then they had this brag idea, say, what if people use this to shoot at each other? That'll be a great idea. But how do we get people to shoot at each other? Well, let's get them mad at each other. Let's start a war. Could that be a foundation of your company wealth? I mean, who sits around and think like that? I'm just throwing it out there. But we have gunpowder, explosives, and later synthetic materials like nylon, Teflon, and then allegedly they have close ties to the military contractors, you think, and are involved in secret research, including genetic engineering and mind control experiments. Now, mind control is where we're going to go deep, deep, deep in this whole channel. So make sure you subscribe if you were just watching us for the first time and everything else. But mind control is probably one of the craziest parts and we're going to talk about that tonight anyway. So it's on our later part of the show. Then next we have the Freeman Bloodline. And these are occult keepers. We have the cult elite, which were the Collins Bloodline. And then we have the political manipulators, which was the Bundys. We have the hidden controllers. So here it is. These people are sitting around. What are you going to do, Roderick? Well, man, I'm going to control, obesity. Let me just throw that out the window. Because I'm no longer. I am working on this, and I'm telling you, I feel so great. But that was just humor. So let me take that back, because that's no longer in our vocabulary. Okay, we're not worrying about that. We're going to do Project Love someday. This is something I'm working on right now. It's called LOVE, stands for Lifestyle Obesity Victory Events. Because when I'm out here walking, and I'm going to get other people to go with me. Now, I know that don't count for all you thin folks, but I'm just saying there are some few people out there. Project Love. We need some love. Lifestyle Obesity Victory Events. We're going to be doing those together. I know I got to get out here and do some stuff. The Freeman family is one of the best, lesser known bloodlines, but is believed to hold a key role in secretive religious and esoteric traditions. Some researchers suggest that the Freemans act as the intermediaries between public and hidden ruling elite, ensuring that the secret knowledge remains in the Illuminati circles. The influence is speculated to be strong with esoteric societies and alternative to spiritual movement. Now, you got to see where we're going with this, right? You got to see the connections of this 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati. Now, I'm just going over a paragraph that I kind of took and snapped and wrote about each one of them. I mean, it's interesting as heck, right? And this is, like I said, I'll tell you about my affirmations this week and last week and where things are going. And then I'm going to show y'all an early birthday gift that I got today, which I'm not going to shed a tear right here, but I will tell you that we have some wonderful people that's in our community. Okay. I'm not calling any names, but I got to tell a story later on. You can be able to hop off by then. Well, the other part is, again, the Freeman family. Like I said, they're a part of this esoteric. So again, you have the foundations of people, you have these foundations of things that people have put together. And now they are saying, we're going to formulate all of this. Now you may think, okay, it's a bloodline, Roderick. But when I get to the Lee bloodline family, which is Chinese, right? We wouldn't even think about that one. You wouldn't even think, oh, the Chinese are Illuminati. Yeah, they sure are. And they date all the way back to the Qing dynasty and all this stuff, and worshiping dragons and the reptilians and all of this stuff. And this is why it's essential that they keep these bloodlines. Anyway, the Lee family, LI, is believed to be the most powerful Illuminati bloodline in Asia. They have developed connections to Chinese banking, secret societies like the Triads, Communist Party connections, leadership, and some of the theories suggest that the Lees have played a critical role in merging Western and Eastern elite interests, particularly through finance and global trade. And if you think when you hear our current president say something about China, and you think that they're all behind the scenes and not laughing together, because at some point this stuff go all the way back that everybody's connected, everybody, even the wars over here and the land over there, this is all, I can't call it a fugazi, because they're hiding in plain sight. They hide in plain sight. It's just one of those things. And so you got to think about it. So that's number 7. Now we're going to get into something a little more familiar with you. The Onassis bloodline. Now they're in the shipping, and listen to what I say next. The Onassis bloodline is into shipping and the drug trade, the drug lords and drug trade. The Onassis family rose to prominence through Aristotle Onassis, or however, Aristotle. Am I pronouncing that right? Aristotle Onassis, a Greek shipping tycoon who controlled one of the world's largest shipping fleets. And some researchers suggest that the family played a role in international drug trafficking, illegal arms sales, intelligence operation, and they also were so closely linked to the Kennedy family through his marriage to Jacqueline Kennedy. You can't make this stuff up. or can you? But it sounds good for a story, right? And welcome if you just got here. This is Roderick Martin, Truth versus Authority. Again, I just want to thank you and bid you good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and wherever you may be watching this in a 24 time zone. This is our Friday night show. We have a schedule that we're going to be getting Monday through Friday live streaming, and I'll go over that later if you just joined us again in a little bit. But the Onassis family, Kennedy family, and we already know the story, all of that stuff when you talk about the Kennedy curse, and all of these things that would happen, the assassinations and Bobby and Marilyn Monroe, all of the connections to this stuff. And this is all part of our shows and stuff that we're going to be talking about. But once again, this is one of the craziest things that we need to really think about. All of these families, shipping and drug trades, the Chinese connection, the cursed dynasty, which again, let me back up, which will be considered the Kennedy. So let me go over that so you're talking about Onassis and the Kennedy, both were original bloodlines of the Illuminati. So they decide to marry together to keep that bloodline going, which goes all the way back to the reptilian stuff. The Kennedy family is one of the most powerful political dynasties in American history. And some researchers believe they were originally part of the Illuminati, but later tried to break free. There's a lot of stories out there about that they jumped off the boat, so to speak, and even turned against the mob and all of this stuff. And don't get me wrong, just because somebody's born into one of these families, that doesn't mean that 4 generations down, they, like Michael Corleone says, we're going to go legit in 6 years, that they don't decide they want to be a legitimate family, right? That they don't want. And so that doesn't mean that someone knows about their family history and say, man, I don't want to live that history. I don't see that. I don't see why my grandfather owned slaves or whatever. That doesn't mean that the person today is that. You get what I'm saying? This is not that. So the Kennedys were believed to be stepping off of this situation, and John F. Kennedy assassinations often cited as an example of what happens when an elite family defies the hidden rulers. Now, we're supposed to get all those Kennedy files pretty soon. At least that was why some of y'all voted for the current president. And we just want to get them released. The Kennedy family has suffered multiple tragics, death and fueling and speculations, and they were targeted by other elite bloodlines for trying to expose or challenge the system, period. And you just don't do that. Number 9, we have the Reynolds bloodline. And like I say, stay tuned, because in a minute, once we get through with these 13 bloodlines, I'm going to go into the esoteric things that they're doing and all these tied to stuff you're going to be familiar with. It's happening in real time. They all had a plan and this agenda, this pyramid. And we're going to go into that. And then the second half of the show, we'll get into the esoteric stuff right here live, things that some of you didn't know what they were doing. And why would they do it? We'll talk about that. So stay tuned. We have the Reynolds bloodline. Now, these are the tobacco kings. Now, think about all of these people and where they are. Said, we're going to start a country and we're going to have global. Now, I would love to go back and talk to my father, who's passed on. I never had a conversation with my grandfather and my great-grandfather, of course, and the one before that. But somebody should have got into one of these Illuminati groups. I don't know why they did. I should be, descended, and I could be and just don't know it, because I'm sure they had some housekeepers or something. I don't know. But I know, Roderick, there's a little shady there. But I'm saying is, wouldn't you want to know what's going on that other side of the fence? You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't you want to know, and just think about that yourself, right? All right. So anyway, the Reynolds bloodlines made their fortune in the tobacco industry, founding R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company, which, if you're a smoker, you'll probably know who they are. I don't smoke. They have allegedly used their wealth and influence to fund secret projects, including mind control experiments and population initiatives as well. Now, some believe that the Reynolds families have played a key role in shaping societies, health policies, particularly in controlling substances like tobacco, alcohol, and pharmaceuticals. Once again, it is a plan of people sitting around who says, dang it, we're going to control this world. And once again, how do they just do that? You know, how are they doing that without us knowing what is going on from there? Reynolds rap, yeah, probably. You know, why not? You know, they're hands on everything. You know, they getting a phone call. Hey man, we're gonna make some gum, but we need a rapper. You want to get in on it? Yeah, call DuPont and tell DuPont that he needs to make the chemicals in the gun to keep their mind control. Well, call the Kennedys. Why? Well, we can make the gun. You know, man, don't call the Kennedys, man. They're gonna tell everybody what's in the gum, so let's not do it. Well, who else we gonna call? Well, let's call the Astor family. Why? Well, you know, they're hidden controllers, so they can do that. Oh, but we need the political side of gum that is good for people. Well, you're going to go call the Bundy Bloodline, you know, go pick up the phone, call the Bundys because they control that. Well, what about satanic rituals? Well, we don't know how to use gum for satanic rituals, so don't call the Collins yet. Oh, okay, then no rituals with gum. But what about the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers? Oh, man, they ain't into no gum. You know, they into the other shit. All right, so, you know, that's the conversations. That's the conversations that they be having that we're not privileged to. You get what I'm saying? So the Rockefeller bloodline, which is number 10 out of the 13, are one of the most well-known Illuminati bloodlines that build their empire through Standard Oil and eventually branching into banking, pharmaceuticals, and education. And the Rockefeller Foundation has funded medical and social experiments influencing everything from vaccines to eugenics. And then they also extends to global organizations like the United Nations and the Council of Foreign Affairs or Foreign Relations. And some researchers argue that the Rockefellers play a crucial role in the creation of the modern deep state. Why not? Why not? Probably, right? And like I said, wouldn't you probably want to know all of those things? The next, as most of you would know, will be the Rothschilds. I mean, okay, so the Rockefeller and the Rothschilds are probably pretty much on everybody's lips out there, right? But they're the masters of finance. And the Rockefellers was a banking and oil empire, I failed to say. All right, so that's why they wouldn't be on that gum, chewing gum conversation. But they own banking, and they're owning all of these banks. So the Rothschild family is often considered the most powerful Illuminati bloodlines. Could you imagine my uncle Roderick, or, you know, that's his name. Everybody in my family is a Roderick. My uncle Roderick owns the bank, and I wrote a check that didn't clear. And do you think he paid it? Do you think Uncle Roderick will pay for Roderick's bad check that he will pay? Because it's banking and he controls the money and it's really not real. And he said, well, you know, let Roderick write all the bad checks he wants, because that's what the congressional people do. Y'all have heard about that, right? They got checks everywhere that they don't even pay. They don't care. Over in the district of whatever, which is not even a section of us. It's got their own court systems in District of Columbia and all this stuff. But that's what they do. Got more checks out than checks itself and the paper that is written on. How do they do that? Do they know the truth about the banking system? And they just let them get away with it because they're going, why are you going to, take me to jail for that? When I already know it's fictitious, it's not real. I don't know. Maybe they know the truth. Maybe we need to look into that. The next one is the architects of secret societies. And the architects would be the people who probably would say that they put together this pyramid system here, the basic Illuminati pyramid structure. Now, if you look at this, you're going to see we're talking about the Rothschilds, but let me get through the last two, and then we'll come back to the structure, okay? We have the Russell Bloodline, which is the architects of the secret societies. Now, the Russell family was instrumental in finding the Skull and Bone Society, or founding the Skull and Bone Society at Yale, at all places, right? One of the most powerful secret societies in the United States. And many of us know that the U.S. presidents all say they come from there. Intelligence officials, corporate leaders. You have, all these people. I think who else was part of the Skulls and Bones or something? One of the last presidents or something, I don't know. The Russell family is to believe to have played a role in shaping U.S. foreign and domestic policies, particularly through connection with intelligence agencies like the CIA. So think about that. All of these Illuminatis are not just United States. These people are global, foreign policies. So when you think about the New World Order, and make sure I'm paying a note on that, because there's something I want to mention about the New World Order. Let me note that right here. You got to really think about that. These people are just global and influencing the world and not just our everyday lives, even though they're doing that already. And we'll get into it. The next one is the Van Duyn bloodline. These are European controllers. Like I said, they're waiting on somewhere else, but they're controlling us from here. The Van Duyn family is one of the least publicly known Illuminati bloodlines, but is believed to be extremely powerful in the European governments and all of that. And they allegedly control financial institutions and hold significant influence in European secret societies. And sometimes researchers claim they have connections to the Vatican and play a role in religious and occult rituals among the elite. So, as we're going to talk about in other shows, the rituals and stuff, and I think we've touched on that before, but like I said, we're going to be going in. That's our triangle of success. I just want you to know when I do my meditations, and we have to begin to understand what is happening, to recognize what's happening. And it's not like you're going to be able to get out from under this stuff. That's just not happening. But at least give you a better handle on things that are happening to you in plain sight. When it comes down to monarch programming, okay, that's just a whole nother part that we discussed a little of that the other day. But we're talking about stuff that happens in plain sight. So my thoughts of the 13 family is that they're believed to be the backbone of the Illuminati and global elite power structures. Now, there's a lot of other ones in there. And they intermarry with each other to maintain control. It's like, oh, we got to, so I'm not saying plan weddings or we're going to say that this is ordained. You're going to marry the daughter of this person. But they do find out that this is, what do you mean her mom is the Rothschild bloodline? Oh, her mom is the, whatever bloodline. Yeah. Oh, one of the other family, Astors. What? Yeah, yeah. She's mean as a rattlesnake, but still, her mom is a Astor's little sister, cousin, blood sister, whatever. Well, that means we're going to make a Rothschild, Astor, a Kennedy baby. What does that mean? I don't know, but it just sounds good. I can't tell you that's what they're doing, but why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't, if you know the bloodlines of power exist and you want to be the bloodline? Somebody walk up to you, I guarantee you there's a few of us, and I ain't saying me, but if a woman walked up to me today in the state that I'm in, being single and working, and she just looked at me and says, "Hey, babe, I'm interested in you." Well, what for? What for? I ain't ready yet. Yeah, that's okay. I'll go talk to my Uncle Rothschild. Who? Rothschild? Is that? Yeah. And your cousin Rockefeller? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're cute. You're beautiful. Now, that's a funny joke because I had a guy who used to be in this network marketing group that was in. His name was Rockefeller at the end, and everybody thought, he's a brother. But he played it off well that he is descendants of the Rockefellers, and there was a lot of people believe that. They really did. I can't say it wasn't true, but he worked it though. He worked it, and when he filled stuff out on application before he walked in, and they saw who he was, he said it worked all the time. They'll see the name Rockefeller, and man, he said you get to the car lots and people, they done rolled out the red carpet, and then they look at him and be like, yeah. So I'm telling you, I don't know. So that would be the deal. She's talking about what happens to find a 12th removed cousin linked to Diana when that happens. Yeah, you just never know. But anyway, if you're just joining us, we are talking about this out of the Illuminati bloodline by Fritz Springman. Oh man, this is a deep dude. We're going to talk about him too in a little bit of the show. And I just got this today. I've been oh my God. This is just one of many readings that we'll talk about. But anyway, I found it off eBay. If you go to Amazon right now, I think that book is like $1,000 or something. I don't know what it is, but there's people selling copies. But they got a new thing that they broke up to 3 parts, and then you can get them for like $20 each or whatever, and so that works too. Yeah. So you can get, but this particular copy here. Oh, wait, no, they got one that's $119. Yeah, okay. For this, if you want the original, because they usually change and take stuff out, but they got one for $800 and some right here. It's a used book. I'll put it on screen, but yeah. But anyway, don't go buy it. I'm just not a person to use. I'm not a person to use. What I call it, I don't know. I'm just not a person to use the PDFs that much. I like reading from a physical book, and because it just putting it on a screen. I like to flip through pages, and I'm just a picture guy sometimes, and everything else. But so it's one of those things that you kind of look at. But anyway, if you decide, let me share that right there. So there you go. You can see that right now, $836 for a used copy. Now, this is probably the original mass print that they have. But anyway, this is stuff that we're studying from, and pretty much. But anyway, like I said, if you have access to the let me make sure I put that up here. If you have access to the Patreon Truth versus Authority Uncensored site, I just put a PDF of this entire book there for you all, and a video of Fritz okay, there you go, right there. So make sure you get the all access membership if you want access to this stuff. We have a pledge, and I'm grateful to those of you who are just pledging the $7 as well. But our uncensored area too. So anyway, make sure you go check that out and pretty much go there. All right, so let's go into the esoteric visible control mechanisms that these Illuminati use, okay? Because they actually use this all the time. They use that. And it is very challenging to not understand what they're doing to us in plain sight. And, or why wouldn't they? And if you are going to control the countries and everything else, you should do exactly that. One of the ways of them controlling their mechanism is going to be the institutions and industries. And so let's go with media conglomerates. They control the narrative. They control news narrative. These are part of these families. A small number of these corporations own major news outlets worldwide. Companies like Disney, Comcast, News Corp control which stories get airtime and how events are framed. These conglomerates push specific agendas, and they omit inconvenient facts and use psychological techniques like fear-mongering to keep the population in state of compliance. If you can control the media, then you control a lot of stuff. We remember these things that a lot of people were doing, and it's just one of those deals. I think that the most important part about it is understanding what is happening when it comes in. And like I said, y'all, we still need a name for this owl when the time comes. Let me switch to my other hat. And so we need a name. We need a name for the owl, y'all. We got to get a name for him. We'll start doing that as well. Someone said Alan Raw, like Alan Raw, but Alan Raw. I think we should call him Noctura. Noctua. I don't know. Call him Georgia Peach. Now, again, these media corporations control the narrative. We already know how that works. We already know you can control the narrative of a lot of stuff right now if you control the media. If you got a friend that was one of those families that all of a sudden that he says, he's going to, the story is going to come out, man, it's going to bring my stock prices down to zero, and you know that you got money in it, or if you don't, hey man, I'll give you 1 million shares. Can you block this story? One of your editors got the story. They pick up the phone and call the editor, hey, I need you to crash that Roderick Martin $1 billion story, and he was like, what for? Roderick is a good guy, Well, we don't want nobody to know he's a good guy. But what about the other story I got on one of your homies who ripped off 20 billion people? Oh, I need you to crash that one too. It's like the power of the media. They can just control whatever they want. They can do it and control everything from that point. And that's just how it works. That's how it works. Now we all know this next one, Hollywood and entertainment. They shape public perception too. You got the media and everything else. And so if you think about the mind control stuff and all the things that they're controlling out there, it makes sense that they're controlling our minds through what they call the monarch programming. And that's one of the stuff that they're doing as well. And that is part of my knowledge base. This is some other stuff I'm reading. The formula of the Illuminati, how they use the monarch programming, which that is deep, people. And don't worry about getting that stuff. That is my agenda, to unleash the knowledge on what they're doing there. But movies, you're talking television, you're talking music. We all know music are powerful tools for shaping social engineering. Hollywood influences the societal values, promote consumerism, and often insert predictive programming. Let me pause right there. It wasn't until I started doing a lot of research on monarch mind control. Now, I would think that this would be somebody who would, take you or capture you and put you in a room and hypnotize you, and then just go through all of this stuff. And they would do that. That's what I would thought when I heard the term mind control back in the day. They would have to sit here and hook you to all these machineries and then, do some electric shock stuff. And what's your name? What's your name? Roderick. What's your name? Roderick. What's your name? Roderick. Change my whole name. And I would think that that's what mind control would have been. Oh, was I wrong? Or was I crazy wrong? Mind control is a lot of stuff that they do, from colors, symbols, things that they're putting right in the screen. Could you imagine how many of us who sat there and watched The Wizard of Oz, some of these other shows that was made by Disney? I'm just saying, the stuff that Disney do, and knowing that he's into this, and knowing that the first thing we're going to do is trauma-based mind control training to youth, that you're then going to grow up to become something, and let stuff triggers and all of this stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it, but it exists. And so when I started looking into it, the monarch, and I did a little hint on that the other day, because we're going to go deep in that. But monarch programming has happened to all of us, probably everybody on here. And don't say not you, because you wouldn't know it. But if you ever watch television any time in your youth, if your family did enough to buy a TV, whether it was black and white or color, and you turned that TV on and you watched a kid show or something, you could have been exposed to programming that the triggers maybe have not set forth yet. They may have a 30-year plan. That's how they work, 40-year plan, and they send those things. So don't stand here and say you different, because none of us know. None of us. Now, I will grant this, though. Once you get past 30 years old, it is in their books, it's in their programming. It's why they take people off their freedom train, and you'll get that meaning in our Uncensored show Thursday. This coming up Thursday. And when they take people off that freedom train, because at 30 years old, their minds begin to shift to where there is growing strong enough to acknowledge and maybe possibly fight it off a little bit. But when you talk about, alter programming that I talked about a little bit, and when you want to talk about alter fragments, those are things you just don't know. And don't let nobody stand in front of you telling you, no, get away from those people, because you don't know. Nobody knows. They did it, and they're still doing it today. Monica is right. Body electric stuff. They're still doing that crap today. And they're doing it better than before because they got better science and technology to do it with. And why not? If you want to control a society of people, why not do mind control? You got to. We already know from religious texts to ancient stuff that it's a playbook. And if you know how to do it, why not make it a secret and control the world through your 13 families and other bloodlines and associates and also these other people that's part of this thing, you know? But when they talk about mind control and they're talking about the altar, that is another personality that sits in the back of your mind that was planted there. These altars not only have names, they give it a history, they give it a personality, they give it everything. It has its own freaking identity, that altar behind you. And when they give the keyword or the trigger or something flashes on TV that they started 30 years ago, and you just jump up and you don't even know why you arguing with your husband or mate, or you just got through watching TV and now you going in there and pick a fight. You don't know that you've been triggered. And he's standing there or she's standing there going, what did I do? What did I say? All I said was chicken Roffa-Rofas. I didn't know you was going to get upset with chicken Roffa-Rofas. That could have been your program word. You know what I'm saying? And you're in there fighting and boxing because they're using the word chicken Roffa-Rofas. I'm just making this up, people. But you know what I'm saying? They just brought up a word that triggered, and now you flashing, and now all of a sudden you want to box and don't even know why. And you boxing a nun or a church pastor or something. You don't even know. But what I'm saying is these are triggers that then all of a sudden it brings that altar forward. And then that fragment altar, these are different personalities, but they're for a specific purpose. That may be for you to do some assassination or some type of thing, and that is triggered by something totally different. This is being done, and the best place to do it is when you're children. And then I start reading, they're doing it even when the baby is in the womb. They're sitting there even taking pins and poking through the mother's stomach and touching the baby and causing it trauma, preparing it for a trauma-based programming. People that are doing this, right in plain, right, they're doing it, okay? And we're going to talk about a lot of that in the uncensored. I'm going to be pubbing that all day because I want to tell you some stuff. I want to tell you some stuff because I got the knowledge for you. I want to tell you some stuff. Again, you're going to be sitting right here and we're going to chill out tomorrow and we can't have pizza anymore like I wanted to, but maybe one slice. I'll tell you some stuff. And for those of you who are going to be in our Dallas meetups, because we're building that WhatsApp, then we're going to be talking about that, just chilling on the weekend. So I hope we're going to have some fun because we're getting out, okay? We're getting out there. I took a detour. I'm sorry. Big tech is another part of esoteric stuff that they're doing. Data collection and surveillance. Big tech companies like Google, Facebook. Yeah, you heard me. You on there all damn day. I don't spend time. People send me Facebook messages and take me 2 weeks to text them back. They be pissed off. Oh, you just ignore my message? No, I don't go there much. Every now and then I may try to post something. But if you're sitting there and you think you don't know, go to your thing and see how much screen time or how much time you're spending on social media. I was walking at the park yesterday, getting that exercise in, getting my mind and saying my affirmation that I am. And I can give you a list of that stuff. And one is where I'm sitting here in front of you. And I'm sending my affirmation and I see this beautiful couple spending lovey-dovey time together at the park with the ducks are swimming and all of that stuff. And I'm like, man, look at that. Roderick, they love each other. They're out here walking together and the ducks quack, quack, and little fish, and you can hear the waterfall. Shh. But they wasn't giving a damn about that. Both of them walking on their phones like this. Almost damn near ran me over, both of them. He had his phone. She had a phone. They're walking. And I watched them come all the way around the curve toward me. And they just, and never looked up and never said a word to each other. But yet, are they spending time together? Both of them just texting and on the phone, watching stuff, just walking. It was freaking unbelievable. And tell me that doesn't work. And how many of you, we saw the commercials where they had that family that was sitting there in the room watching movie night. Y'all remember, was it a Blockbuster night or whatever? And the family will text. They're sitting on the couch. The girl texts the father, hey, we should watch a movie. He texts back, hey, what you want to watch? She texts to the mother, hey, what'd you think about what that? And they're texting each other on the couch. No one says a word. And it's movie night. This is real stuff. And if you find yourself doing it, you're part of it. I'm telling you, you're part of it. And we don't know it. And all of us are guilty. Not guilty, we're programmed.